Hello guys, this is Deep Narayan Singh. Happy New Year to all. Today I am with new video and discussing here database to Python connectivity case based questions. In these questions, a code is given from Python to database connectivity and some fill in the blanks are there that are being asked by CBSE, and this category of questions are being introduced in this year itself. So we are going to discuss in this lecture 4 5 or more than 10 examples with you, which will give you a great confidence in solving such type of questions. So without any delay, let us move ahead and see how these questions are being solved. Before going to that, I want you to review just basics of that concept. So what actually Python to database connectivity look like when you diagrammatically see it. So there is my Python application where what is happening, where I am trying to write my code in Python editor, or ideally that is integrated learning development environment in this. Okay, so then next we call some functions into it to have that connectivity with us. Okay, so here there is a module called mysql. Okay, so that connector module use these functions are defined inside this uh, api, python to db api. What does api mean? Application programming interface, because python does not understand all the formats or the way information is stored and processed inside the mysql database. It is a rdbms. I hope all of you know what is RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. And this API provide us with some functions, that is connect, cursor and execute. So these are the three main functions which we are going to utilize, and all these three are defined inside this Python API. What is the job of Python API? It takes the commands from the Python program, supplies it to database, and whatever result comes from the database given back to the Python application, which will help us in accessing the database inside our program, storing the data for longer period of time. So whenever we want our program to take input from a database and put output into the database, that is being done through this Python API. So this is something called middleware. Okay, this is our back end, okay, and this is the front end. Okay, and there we have this middleware, that is Python db api, application programming interface. And what does interface means? Interface means like if you go to a hotel, so hotel directly you need not to go to check every room it is empty or full. You just go to the receptionist and ask. So receptionist is what? Interface to the hotel and outside world, which provide the information about the hotel. So here this Python db api is like interface between database and your application. Let us have what are the functions that are need to be uh, considered before going to such type of questions. So these are the function, and first function is connect. This connect function is defined inside mysql connector class. Okay, mysql package connector class, and connect is the function which takes some argument like host, so where you are running your server, and the user, password and database. These all parameter are concerned with the MySQL database. It returns the connection object. With the help of connection object, we are going to call the cursor object. Cursor object is in the layman language, you can think of as a buffer memory where result of your query are stored. Okay, and from that cursor you can just fetch that result inside your program. So to execute a query, we have another method that is called execute method, where we can supply a query in the form of string, and this query is in the syntax of SQL language. Okay, structured query language. So we will write a query in a structured query language and pass it to the execute function. Execute function will be called with the help of my cursor object, and function will be called with the help of connection object, and connection object will be created using the connect function. So this is the an analogy or chronology, like that it happens. First connect will call and create a connection object, then with the help of connection object what you can do, create a cursor object, and with the cursor object you can call the execute function, which will fetch the result for you or which you execute will supply that query to the database, and database returns the result, and that will be stored inside the result set. From result set, this is a iteratable object. Directly you can perform a for loop, or using a loop you can access row by row from this result set. Otherwise you have these three functions like fetch one, fetch many, or fetch all, which are used to get record from the cursor. So fetch one will fetch single record one by one. Fetch many means you need to give the size, how many records you want from the cursor. And fetch all is in one time you are going to fetch all the data from a cursor and put it inside the variable in your Python program. These methods are used to fetch the rows from the cursor. I hope you got a little bit idea, but here our objective is not to explain the concept too much. Just go to the questions, and this is like a crash course where you solve a lot of questions and you will get the answers. So our first question is like this: the code given below, insert the following record inside the table called student. So the name of the table is student. What record will contain? Roll number, name, and class, marks. So these are the four things that are that our record consists of. Note the following to establish the connectivity. As I told you, to establish a connection, we require some parameters. So username is root, password is tiger, and the table exists in MySQL database named school. So database is like container where tables are stored inside that. Now details of the records look like roll number, name, class, okay, and marks are to be accepted from the user. Write the following missing statement to complete the code. Then they have given three statement where you need to write the code, and code it will be provided in the question itself. So import mysql.connector as MySQL. Okay, fine. So this is the module which we are importing, where those functions are defined that are being used inside the code. So this connect function is defined inside connector MySQL package connector class. Inside that connect function is defined. So what we have done here, MySQL, we have created a alias for that particular whole thing. MySQL.connector, we need not to write everywhere this particular string, rather than what I can write MySQL directly. Then they have defined this function def SQL data, SQL underscore data, and first line itself shows they are creating a connection. So con is a connection object. Okay, fine. Host is local host, means same computer is used to host the server of or MySQL server. Username is root and password is tiger. Database name is school. So these are the parameters which connect function takes. Now they have given this first statement where you need to write the missing code. So first we create a connection object, then we create a cursor object. So here we need to write a code for creating cursor object. How cursor object will be created? With the help of connection object. So where you have the connection object, this is the connection object, con1 dot, and the function that we are going to use, that is cursor. Okay, so that is going to return the cursor object, con dot cursor. I hope you are getting. So one or two questions you will understand how things will work. Now this whole process is what we are creating a record here. Okay, so we want what are the four things we want our record? Roll number, name, class, and marks. So these are the four things we have taken in the input from the user, like enter the roll number, enter the name, and enter the class, enter the marks. We have created four variables for that. After that, our job is to prepare a query for it. So how to prepare a query? Rather, you can prepare or directly write that query inside the execute function, or you can store inside some variable and then pass that variable to the execute function. Remember, this format function is used to format the string, and whatever values are there when this is executed, these values at roll number, name, class, and marks variable will be placed inside this uh, curly brackets. Okay, so roll number will be picked from there and put it inside it, and like that for other also, name will be stored here, class will be stored here, and then marks will be stored to this place, and this is done by the format function. Here what is important or point to remember is, wherever you are supplying string, you must give the single quotes in it. So see here, name is of type string. Okay, so what I am giving here, single quote. Others are converted into integers and they are numbers, so we are not providing single quote to it. Let us have at statement 2, what is asking to execute the command that insert the record inside the table student. So how can we execute? With the help of execute function. So this is our execute function, but execute function will be called through cursor object. Okay, so cursor object is used to call the execute function. Where we have created our cursor object, this my cursor is the object which is prepared by cursor, because con1 dot cursor is placed at this place, con1 dot cursor. Okay, so here we are creating a cursor object. This is our connection object. Then with the help of this cursor object, what I write here, my cursor dot execute. Okay, inside execute, what is being passed? This query is being passed inside execute. So check it out here, we are passing this query inside it. Once we have passed this query, what is the job of execute function? Execute function will send that query to the MySQL database, and MySQL database will be going to run that query and return the result will be stored inside the my cursor object. Okay, then what, to add record permanently in the database, so there is a function called commit, which is used to make the changes in the database permanent. So con.commit, it is called with the help of connection object. So what I write here, con1.commit. So this is the answer for this question, and 3 marks will be uh, awarded for you if you write these things right. So main important things are there to remember. This connect function, let me change the color of my pen. This cursor, connect, and then execute. After that execute, you need to do commit. So this is about the first question. Let us move to the second question. In second question, they are asking, given the code below and same record has been created. Okay, the record is given below. Following record from the table named student display only those records who have marks greater than 75. So there is a little bit processing is required. We want to display on those marks only which have a value more than 75. Note the following to establish the connectivity. We have the username root, tiger is the password, and the table exists in MySQL database name school. So what is the name of table? Student, and database name is school. Now they have given the code also. Imported mysql.connector as mysql. So this is a alias name given to this whole thing. Like mysql.connector is cumbersome to write, so you just write mysql. And here they have created a connection object on equal to mysql.connect, where host is the local host. Same computer is used to run the Python program as well as to store the or host the MySQL server. Then we have the username as root, password tiger, and school is the database name. Again, same way, what next job is? First job is to create the connection object. Okay, so we have created the connection object using which function? Connect function. Connection object. After second job is what? Create a cursor object. So cursor object, they are asking to write the code for it. So with the help of connection object, we are going to create the cursor object. So we will write con1 dot cursor, that we have seen in previous examples also. So this is our first answer. And next, print the student with marks greater than 75. Okay, fine. For that purpose, we need to run a select query. And how do we execute the query? Third job, to execute the query, so we have a function called execute function. With the help of execute function, we are going to send the query into the database and result will be stored in the cursor. Okay, fine. So let us see how we'll be executing this. So execute function will be called through the cursor object. What is our cursor object? My cursor. So we will write my cursor dot execute, and here inside execute we are supplying the query which gives me the result of or records of all those students whose marks are greater than 75. Okay, fine, we got the result. Now our job is to get that inside a variable, and then we can run or fetch that all records. So how can we fetch it? Up from the cursor, there is already we have three functions: fetch one, fetch many, and fetch all. So here we are utilizing fetch all because we want to print all the records. So all the record using fetch all is stored inside data, and then we can iterate over that data variable to print all the records, okay. So fine, that's it for the next question. Next question will be, we have a code given below. Insert the following record in the table customer code varchar. This is our record: cname, phone, amount, okay. And there they have also given the type of those. Okay, fine. So this gives me a little bit help in understanding what is the structure of record we are going to insert. That our record will have customer code, customer name, phone number, amount. Okay, note the following to establish the connection. So they have given like username should be root, password is also root. The table exists in MySQL database named SOP. So what is the database name? SOP. Detail of our code will look like this: are to be accepted from the user. Again, that is should be read from the user in real time. Write the following missing statement to complete the statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. Let us go ahead to the code and try to analyze that code. Fine, let me change the color of my pen to red. Here they are importing that mysql.connector and make the, alias mysql, defined a function add underscore customer, created a connection object mycon equal to mysql. Mysql is what? MySQL, remember this MySQL is the alias name given to this whole thing. So rather than writing MySQL, we can also write mysql.connector.connect, or rather than as we have created a column alias, so we can directly write mysql.connect. Here we are having these parameters into this connect function, like host, username, password, and database. So host is localhost, username is given like root, password is given root, and database name is SOP. We have already highlighted this one here. Now after creating a connection object, what to do next is, there is an indentation problem. So remember, indentation should always be correct while writing the code inside your copy. So you should always write the code in proper indentation level. Now our job is, second job is to create a cursor object. So cursor object will be created through connection object. So connection object name is what? myicon, and then we need to call cursor function. Okay, so this is the cursor function. This is our first answer, icon. Okay, there we have. Okay, so here cursor is going to be created. This is wrong. For statement 1, what is there? To check the status of the connection. Fine. So to check the status of the connection, is connect is the function to check the status of the connection. But for cursor, it is written wrong. Like statement 1, we should write a mycon dot cursor. Is connect is used to check the connection, is that connection is created or not, is there any problem. If we call is connected function with this connection object, what will have happened? Mycon is our connection object and the function name is underscore connected. Okay, so this is the name of the function which will return true if connection is created correctly. Otherwise, what it will return? Otherwise, it will return false. Okay, so if false is written, this if condition will not be true, and successfully connected will not be printed. So we need to know that while seeing the output that connection has not been created correctly, there is a problem with these parameter. Otherwise, successfully connected will be printed. Then we have this try except blocks. What try will do? Try except is like exception handling. So here, if any exception is generated inside this code in the try block, what will happen? That program will not abnormally terminate. the exception will be handled inside except block, or a proper message is printed like cannot read the table or whatever it is. So whatever exception being generated in these lines, what we are doing, we are getting all the records from the user, through which what we can do, we just create a record that need to be inserted inside that statement. When we have created a insert query, insert into customer values, and we wrote like percentage as percentage as percentage as. So I will do let you know, like when you call the execute function, and execute function will be called with the help of cursor object. So what is our cursor object? Here it is given cur. So I wrote cur dot execute. Now execute function will take query directly, otherwise it takes two argument, where formatted string like the query is given and one tuple is given. In the from the tuple it will pick the values from this tuple. So how it is written, like SQL insert is holding the insert query, this one, and this val is going to hold the values for that, and execute function will automatically get the values from this tuple called val, which we have declared here. So this is another way of firing query inside the execute function. After executing, what I want to do to make the records permanent in the database, I already explained to you that commit function is used for that purpose. Okay, so when you call commit, all the changes which you made will become permanent. So here in the next line, but remember this commit function will be called through the connection object mycon.commit. So through that function it is used. So these are three questions. I just end the video here, otherwise video become too long to see. So we have more questions to be discussed in next lecture. Okay, so our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to success is always try just one more time. Very good thought. So don't leave the video in between, just go through the video, write that code inside your notebook, practice it. Remember, how hard you practice, that much gain you are going to get in your final exam. If these videos are helping you a little bit at least, please do like and subscribe the channel. Stay safe, stay aware, stay healthy, and stay alert. Have a nice day. Thank you for patient listening.